that.
So we can spread out.
There is a way, isn't there?
Uh-huh.
Feel it out.
I'm scared.
Where's the,
I look like I got in a bar fight in Ireland. I'm gonna say
Well-
that's what happened.
Jill Bear,
Yeah.
I'm good, how are you?
Mr.
Here.
Baird,
Oh, gosh.
welcome.
What do you think?
Yeah, of course.
All right, we're live whenever you want.
We're ready?
Whenever.
Okay,
Take your microphone.
thank you.
Oh, my God. Lisa, could you do me a favor? We got the podium mic, it was dead, so if you don't mind. It's labeled podium.
There another one we can use?
I don't know, I don't know if you could use like a rear one.
One of these,
Yeah.
I'd like to show it.
Maybe it has enough juice.
We'll make it work.
Right, yeah.
They didn't put one for Joe to say. Oh,
Thank you. Save my steps.
Y'all ready? Lindsay?
Mhm.
I call the order for the City of Petoskey City Council meeting for October 9th, 2025, and I ask that you rise with me for a pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk Sarah Beck, would you please call roll?
Demore,
Present.
Shields.
Present.
Knocktrab is absent. Walker. Present. Murphy.
Present. Next, we have a change for our agenda. And I'm gonna ask that you look at that and add for the second proclamation after this is a proclamation entitled Support Your Local Chamber of Commerce Day.
Okay.
Okay, Sarah will be reading that proclamation. Also, on the appointments, there are two. One is for the Planning Commission, the other is for the Arts Commission. Kathy Phelps, there was a typographical error that we had. And so actually she's not up until next year. So we'll cross her off and there'll be only the Planning Commission one member on the, and so I asked for a motion to accept this agenda as listed now.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion from Mr. Shields, second from Mr. Moore. Roll call, please.
Demore,
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Murphy.
Next is a proclamation. As we know, Domestic Abuse Awareness Month comes every year, and it's at this time of the year. We work closely with the Women's Resource Center to make sure that this is addressed in the community as well as at City Hall. So Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas domestic violence perpetrators intentionally use a pattern of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and/or economic coercion and abuse to control their intimate partners, violating their dignity, security, and both psychological and physical well-being. And whereas domestic violence, abuse perpetrators cause significant and long-lasting trauma to countless individuals and families. Whereas when children are involved with domestic violence, abuse perpetrators' choices to be violent and abusive are parenting choices that often have devastating and far-reaching adverse impacts on the safety and the well-being of the children and their non-offending parents. Whereas in 2023, the Michigan State Police Incident Crime Report indicated that there were 67,816 domestic violent offenses reported to the Michigan law enforcement during that year. And whereas survivors of domestic abuse are present in every Michigan community, regardless of sexual orientation, race, religion, ability, age, and gender identity. And whereas domestic abuse can be prevented through the collective voice and the power of individuals, families, institutions, and systems all working together towards one common goal. And whereas Domestic Abuse Awareness Month provides an opportunity for community members to learn more and to prevent domestic abuse, and to show support for the organizations and individuals who provide the critical advocacy, services, and assistance to victims. Now therefore I be resolved that I, John Murphy, Mayor of the City of Petoskey, on behalf of the residents as well as City Council, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as a Domestic Abuse Awareness Month this day. This is Gail Kloss. She's the Executive Director of the Women's Resource Center here. And we have this plaque.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bring it over the front.
Mhm.
Sweet too. Did you want to say anything?
I just wanted to really thank the city of Petoskey. Thank you for joining us in our goal to really create safe and thriving communities, and we can only do that if we work together. Thank you.
Council, any comments? Ms. Demore?
Yeah, thank you, Gail, and all your colleagues for everything you do in the community and have done for a really long time. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Next is a proclamation that is support our local Chamber of Commerce Day, and I'm going to turn that over to Sarah Beck, clerk, to read.
Whereas chambers of commerce strive to address the community's top challenges and greatest opportunities through bold leadership and innovative problem solving, and whereas chambers of commerce foster stronger, more vibrant communities by advocating for priorities to promote economic prosperity, enhance quality of life, and create access to meaningful employment and opportunity for all residents. And whereas chambers of commerce are champions of communities, serving as a trusted resource for businesses, residents, and other stakeholders. And whereas chambers of commerce create catalytic community partnerships to build resilient economies and promote community-wide prosperity. And whereas founded in 1919, the Petoskey Regional Chamber of Commerce has grown to represent more than 760 members and continues to champion the success of businesses of all sizes, strengthening the economic vitality and quality of life of the greater Petoskey area through innovation, advocacy, and collaboration. Therefore, the City of Petoskey proclaims October 15th, 2025 as Support Your Local Chamber of Commerce Day, and encourages Petoskey City residents to learn more about their local chamber, its impact and support of local businesses.
It would be on next Wednesday.
Mhm.
I know Nikki has done a great job of supporting the downtown businesses and community, as well as those that work there. And so hats off to Nikki if you were out there.
Yeah, she's on. I don't know if she wants to say anything.
Would you like to say anything, Nikki?
Hello, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. I think the significance of not being there is okay when we're looking at supporting your local chambers. I'm actually standing on the roof of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce right now for a Board of Regents meeting overlooking the White House, and the impact that our chamber has, not just locally, but that we're able to kind of coordinate on a national stage to come back and take care of our communities is just, it's an absolute honor. And I couldn't be happier than to be a part of our organization and our team, because we do live in such an incredible place. And I get to tell all my counterparts from across the country that.
Mr. Shields?
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to say how fortunate we are to have so many great organizations. The Women's Resource Center, our chamber, it's by Ritzy, and encourage our community members to continue their great volunteerism and philanthropic support of these organizations.
Thank you, Mr. Shields. summarizes it really well for the council. All set, everybody? Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda. It's the adoption of a proposed resolution that would confirm approval of the following. September 9th, 2025 regular session city council meeting minutes. And a September 15th, 2025 regular city council meeting, the first one being a special session. Acknowledge the receipt of certain administrative transactions that have occurred since September 15th, 2025. And you also have in front of you the August 2025 revenue and expenditures report. Do you have any questions or comments? If not, I would entertain the opportunity for a motion.
So moved.
Second the motion.
I have a motion from Ms. Demore and a second from Mr. Shields. I go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Demore,
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Murphy.
Yes, aye. Motion for consent agenda passes 4-0. Now it's the opportunity for public comment. That's your chance to come up and address in the public to city council, not the audience, but to city council. If you're online or at audience, give us your full name and full address and you'll have an opportunity to speak to council. Is there anybody that wishes to speak to council at this time? There being none, we'll go to city manager's report and city manager Horn's update. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Wanted to highlight staff October birthdays and work anniversaries for the month of October. For birthdays, Lisa Grant in the Finance Department celebrates a birthday this month. Nicole Stradling in the Finance Department. Larry Donovan, Public Safety. Rob Eichler, Electric Department. Mary Holbein in the Library. Chad Bradley, Water, Wastewater, and Fred Helk in Public Safety. Again, all celebrate October birthdays, staff birthdays. Work anniversaries this month, Michael Dolan, Public Safety. Actually, I believe that year is wrong. I believe that's the year that didn't update that. These years might not be correct, actually. So let's add 1 year because I did not update these. Connor Kish is 3-year, Eric Hoig, 8 years, Ben Carlson, Public Safety, 19, and Lieutenant Schultz, 24 years with the city. So congrats to all of our staff. Wanted to again continue to provide city council and the public ongoing updates on Howard Street. Right now, our crew contractor is working at Washington Street between Petoskey to Howard Street. All water main have been installed in this section of that project and tested. Water services will be connected by the end of this week. Sanitary sewer has been completed in this stretch. Next week, all remaining undergrounding will be completed of the electric. Concrete curb and sidewalk will start the latter part of next week. Paving is scheduled the late part of the week of October 20th. Restoration and final cleanup will happen the last week of October. So in conjunction with the paving of that stretch, we will also be topping or placing the final course of asphalt in that stretch that only has a base layer, and that is between Grove to Fulton. So that'll be topped at the same time that the paving contractor is in to do Washington Street. So once that is complete, we will put this project kind of in hibernation for the winter and come back in the spring to finish the last stretch of this project from Fulton to Jennings. Again, it's unfortunate that we're not complete, but we did not want to start that last stretch and have to deal with maintaining that stretch during a winter season. So we will be back in the spring, finishing that last phase of this project. Also wanted just to let council know in the community, we do have an active survey out that this is a community character survey. This is part of our, the planning commission has reviewed this. This is part of our city zoning, kind of rewrite, if you will, looking at neighborhoods and the character of neighborhoods to kind of get a feel from our community, what is desired, in our neighborhood. So I encourage people, this is on our website. There's a QR code attached in our website. We certainly encourage any and all feedback. I think that's going to be very important as Planning Commission finishes their work. Also wanted to let community know that we're getting into that time of year where leaves will be starting to fall. So we have a schedule that has been pushed out. I think the first round or in our utility bills, the first of this month. This was announced in our utility bills. This has been placed on our website. It'll be placed on our social media platforms. So essentially we're starting October 28th. And then obviously continuing until, this is kind of the first round. Obviously we'll continue to go around the community as we always do and take care of all of our residents, and we'll push out updates on the schedule as needed. Sometimes things fall and it works out pretty well. Other times it takes a little longer, and so we have to extend our process, but we'll certainly keep that updated. But this is the first round, and we encourage folks to, again, push their leaves out to the curb, and we will come through and make them disappear. So we encourage their support that way. Also wanted to let everyone know, we had a community open house last night for Pennsylvania Park. We had about 35 folks attend and provide feedback and comments. This will be an ongoing process. We will be in the lobby of City Hall, our concept boards and comment cards that people can fill out and participate. This will also be pushed out on our website where people can provide feedback through that opportunity as well. So certainly this is a very important piece of our community, and we certainly want to engage our residents and make sure that we're being responsive and responsible to what our residents would like to see in that facility and that location. So again, we encourage people to pull this up, to take a look at it, come to City Hall, take your time and look at the concept boards that are here in the building, and provide your feedback. This is how we will refine this master plan, which will ultimately be something that'll be ready to go as funds materialize. We can phase these improvements or these changes over the course of time based on our budget process. So none of these things are going to happen tomorrow. This is a long-term view of that facility and that location. So we encourage people again to participate, provide their feedback, and give us that guidance. I wanted to share with council as well. We had planned, this is the wheelway restoration. Our basis of design is complete. Our contractor has finished that. We are at a point where initially I had him scheduled to come for our next meeting. As we met earlier this week remotely, there's a lot of information here that having him present for a 15-minute, 30-minute presentation isn't going to do this justice. This document, this basis of design is 300 pages. Not that we need to go through every page, but one thing I was thinking as we were going through this is instead of putting this as part of a regular meeting and trying to get a full agenda accomplished as well, I wanted to ask council if you would consider having a work session on this topic. And we could even do it similar to an open house concept where we could have a couple hours of of come and go. People could come and go, look at the concept boards, similar to what we just did with Pennsylvania Park. Our engineer would be here from Baird in person to answer questions. If people can't stay for the work session, they could go. And then so I'll just say 6 o'clock, we could have the work session where Rory from Baird could run through the basics of design, run through the presentation. I know that the Trails Council is interested in this information as well, and they have people that are interested in joining the discussion as well. So I just didn't want to try to push this presentation through, and I wanted to give it enough time because this has been a long process, and I want to make sure that folks have an opportunity to engage with us before we make any decisions with City Council. So again, it's a matter now of trying to, is that a desire of City Council to go in this direction, having a special meeting, a special work session? I guess I'll just throw it out there and see kind of where City Council wants to go. Certainly we can still do the presentation in a regular meeting. I'm not saying that's not helpful. It certainly would be, but having a discussion that's solely focused on this topic because it's such a big issue in our community, I think is valid.
Tina?
If you feel that's the best way for us to kind of understand the scope of this, I think that's a good idea. I like the idea of displays or whatever might be available in advance of that, so people could see that and then stay for the meeting if they thought. I don't know about my colleagues.
I also like the idea of the open house concept or something more than just the presentation. I would still encourage us to have a higher level presentation, and that is not much longer than, I don't know what the time length is, but not the exhaustive hour.
Yeah, no,
Everything.
I mean, just in the conversation that we had with him, it was an hour, and I was kind of getting lost in some of the acronyms and all the things. Rory's a very intelligent guy, and he specializes in this, very intelligent man. And Kendall and I both said, you need to kind of bring this down a little bit so we can present it in a way that we can fully grasp and understand. And so he's aware of that, but I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, I'm very much in favor of doing a separate meeting, public open house maybe type thing, and then a higher level review for City Council, maybe after a public meeting of that sort.
Yep.
I also wanted to ask Shane, because it was part of the check register, which I didn't get a chance to ask about that, but there was an allotment for Baird and Associates, who are the
Yep.
Creators of this document and our engineers on this, for $181,923. So I would assume that was for over a year's worth of work.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's part of the Wheelway Restoration Project. As you know, we received a grant, $800,000 grant. We matched that with $200,000. So we're at that point where we're at now. We've kind of asked him to pause. The contract essentially said we need bid-ready documents, which essentially we have minus the permits. I didn't want to submit any permits without direction of City Council on how you wanted to proceed. So we have not submitted any permits to Eagle or the Corps. We'll let this presentation take place. We'll get your feedback. But essentially we would be ready to go out to bid minus having these permits in hand. So Baird has done, I believe, the work that we've asked them to do. Now it's really turning it over to us as a community to make the decisions on how we would like to proceed with this project. So I did ask Council Member Shields, Lori will be prepared with a response when you asked about, this concept could be the, a Cadillac version, if you will, or the best case scenario. What could be maybe a more cost-effective route, or not route, but path, if you will, that would maybe not provide us that longevity necessarily, but provide us enough space to still put that back together. And so Rory's pondering that now and what that could look like, and he'll be ready for that discussion once he presents, so.
Thank you.
So I guess basically what I hear from council is there's a desire to do this, and the next step, I guess, would be to find a suitable date. And obviously, I really want, and would have to be, he wants to be here as well, so I need to make sure it fits in his schedule as well. So I don't know the best way to do this, Mayor. Maybe I do that through an email
I think doing a
correspondence.
Group email.
Yeah.
would work best. And with two understandings, one is, I think it needs to be noted that this restoration presentation does not mean we're moving forward. It merely means we are looking at what was the design of the fixes. Because the cost of this is gonna be prohibitive. And I think before we go deep into this, other than getting what we've paid for, I think we need to discuss about, is it feasible financially?
Yeah, I thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, this will be just a discussion. There'll be no decisions made at this work session. Obviously, this is just informational. A very good opportunity for you all to ask questions during it as well, to kind of get a good understanding of the scope. But you're correct, Mayor. This is really not intended to be a decision-making opportunity, but.
The other part is if after this is done for the city council, I don't know, you guys may be okay with all of this other intake from Rory, possibly having him just Zoom it for the next meeting to us for a council discussion. Because we can have audience still participating, but at the same point, I don't know, where's he come from, Lansing or something?
Oh, he's coming from Wisconsin.
I don't know if it's necessary for him to come a second time, is it, to meet with council? So we can
TBD.
evaluate that
Yeah,
when we
that's-
get there.
yeah,
but,
Yeah. Okay, my last slide essentially is just a reminder about our training opportunity with the Michigan Municipal League. We have sent this out to all of our boarding commissions. Sarah and I have been getting email RSVPs with boarding commission members. So again, that's Monday, October 27th. Again, reminder on the time, it's a time that we typically is a little different than our normal, but they did say plan for 3 hours. So I want to try to get us out of here at a decent time. So 5:30, Monday, October 27th. Here in the council chamber. So just again, another reminder. Thank you very much.
Mr. Moore,
When will the Pennsylvania Park survey be available online? Do we know?
That should be tomorrow. It'll be out tomorrow.
And then my second question is, as far as this large Baird report, is that available online too for folks to?
It's not yet, and I'll leave that up to council. Do you want that before? We'll have to figure out, this could obviously be on our website, but it's a very large document. It just depends on when you want that distributed or available. I think certainly having it before the whatever date we decide to give people the opportunity to peruse through it and get their questions, kind of queued up
Yeah,
is fine. But we do have that, and it is ready to be displayed or pushed out on our social media or on our website. So we just got that this week.
for my part, I support it being available to the public as soon as possible. I think there's a lot of interest in this. And especially if it's big and long, people can work their way through it and come to that session with kind of questions in mind. And so, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
thank you. Anybody else have a question? Ms. Walker?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Shane, for the report. I did want to ask, as part of a Little Traverse Wheelway restoration discussion, obviously, we're going to be reviewing different options that Rory's identified. for restoration. But will we also be talking about financial pieces of like how something like that could be funded?
Not at this, not at this discussion. Certainly we can have those follow-up discussions if whatever desire council wants to take on this project, we can have further discussions with finance. My hope is our other partners would also engage with us. Partners meaning, Emmett County and Resort Township. I don't know if that would happen, if that is going to happen or not, but it is a big project. It is a big ticket item. Likely if that's a desire to stay with what has been presented and not make any sort of changes, it would likely be a bond that we would have to seek to fund it. I would hope that we would be able to make a strong case for an appropriation of some sort at the state level, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, likely financing this is not part of this discussion, but it certainly will be shortly thereafter when we come back as a body to discuss direction.
And the reason I'm asking is because for a couple of reasons. The first one just being like, when you're talking about options, those are also attached to dollars. So I'm assuming in Rory's report, he does have some rough estimate of
Yeah.
numbers. So it'll be in discussion of that, but in terms of like how we would go about sourcing that. So I think about some other maybe alternatives or options that we're talking about when we talk about how that could be funded. And because Emmett County is going through their master planning process right now, and they are having a meeting Saturday at North Central Michigan College for the general public to come and participate from 10 into 12. I think as much support as we can get from City of Petoskey residents and beyond to be like, the repair of our bike path is our shared collective county-wide and actually multi-county wide responsibility. And so I wonder about like, if we give a lot of public voice and input there, that would somehow be included in the master plan. Maybe that's me being naive and hopeful.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I would think of is if we start to consider this more of a parks and recreation in terms of a capital improvement plan, that it's kind of part of parks and recreation beyond like, and economic development and all of these things. We want to be building a case for doing a millage and repairing the bike path. Not saying that the proposed millage, or we haven't even furthered that discussion at all. But if you add the total of what the city could be contributing to that, maybe that's another mechanism for funding. And then you're building a case for a millage, and something that's really, really important to people is the bike path repair. So I don't know if that could be another consideration, but when I'm thinking about scope and design, I'm also thinking about dollars and like fundraising and how we go about doing that. And I think public partnerships are really, we should continue to lean heavily on that. And I hope there's several opportunities for intersection with other local municipalities and the county government.
Am I correct? Rory is going to present one option. Correct?
Yeah, his
One option. It's not multiple options.
his design is putting the trail back together where it was, where it failed in the same location. Using a couple different concepts, which he'll go through, but one thing that we do obviously in any project is if we value engineer things, right? If this cost is beyond what we think is something we can do, what are things that we can take out of this that still make it a viable project, but make it maybe less costly? One of the things that Rory brought forward this week, and he'll talk about a little bit more likely, is he's making some projections on wave action and the toe of the slope, if you will, where the water level is and where that needs to be from a slope standpoint, putting it back from a cobble beach concept. But really to fine tune that concept, you really need to put it into practice. Like there's actually companies that have built these models that can simulate exactly what we're trying to accomplish here. We've done this on paper, but they can actually refine that through a model that we would give them all the different parameters. That's costly to do, but in Rory's experience, it can cut millions of dollars off of a project. So that could be a scenario where we spend $100,000 to put a actual model together, let them run it for a while, see, maybe we don't need as much cobble as is presented in the report. That was $13 million just for stone. So the biggest challenge is transportation. We can't barge it in because of it's not deep enough in this area. Doing dredging is very expensive, so you'd have to truck it in. And this would be coming from Ontario, would go to Sheboygan. We'd have trucks going from Sheboygan to Petoskey all day. I mean, and then you're dealing with a lot of transportation costs. So if we can cut that down by really refining this, using a model, potentially that's another next step. But certainly we'll have those discussions and kind of get your feedback and guidance on how you would like to proceed. But it's certainly been an interesting project and certainly one that we would like to see in some form or fashion, you know, kind of resolved. It's been a long process. And I know folks are getting tired of studies and analysis, and they're ready to see something tangible happen. And I certainly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Moving on, the appointment, consideration of appointment to the planning commission of Rick Meridian. He has been on the board for, this is his second term. Lived here 23 years.
I'll be happy to make a, I'll be happy to make a motion, Mayor, to reappoint Richard Meridian for another 3-year term on the Planning Commission.
Support.
I have a motion from Ms. Walker, a second from Mr. Moore. Any other discussion? I go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Walker,
Aye.
Demore,
Aye.
Shields,
Aye.
Murphy.
Yes. Motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Meridian, if you're watching for another term. Thank you for serving. Next is new business acceptance of the city manager's report concerning programs and services as proposed by the city's downtown management board for 2026 and would be financed by the levying of special assessments within the downtown management board's territory. And adoption of a proposed resolution that would schedule a public hearing for October 20th, 2025 to receive comments concerning these recommended programs and services. So basically, we are not voting on this today. That would happen at the next meeting. Do you have any questions or comments you'd like to make at this point?
Is that the public hearing?
We do have to adopt the
Right.
proposed
Yeah.
resolution.
We have a resolution that we would need to adopt
Oh,
that
okay.
sets a
I'm
public
sorry.
hearing.
Yes. Do I have a motion to set a public hearing date for October 20th?
So moved.
I have a motion for Mr. Shields. Do I have a second?
Aye.
A second from Ms. Walker. Discussion? Mr. Moore.
So I just have some questions overall about the budget.
This is Amy Tweeden. She's the downtown management director.
So my observation, and tell me if I'm wrong, because that happens often, is that kind of annually, the assessment is going up, but you're also continuing to use fund balance to support expenses. It looks like 17% is projected for 2026. And so when I look at that, my perception is that's not sustainable long-term. So I would just ask you to speak to that.
Right. And when you look at the proposed budget versus the current budget.
Yep.
We have cut expenses, we moved some funding or some expenditures to the parking fund. To try and get it more and more, so that the current year assessment is a larger share of the budget. I think it was 27% was the fund balance last year, and we're down to 17% this year. And so the management board has had a discussion about that we have this fund balance. This is a special assessment. That's what the revenue stream from this budget is. So every year, property owners are assessed for services. And at the public hearing, I'll give you a presentation similar to the management board, because in my opinion, a special assessment is a fee for service. When you pay your assessment, you assume those services are gonna be performed in that year. We had a big buildup of fund balance during and in the years after COVID, because things were planned and then they had to get canceled. So that basically our fund balance is a carryover from year after year of projects that weren't completed. So the fund balance went up quite significantly. And so the current budget, so we, like, in the current budget, we used, let's see. The budget year was 107,000. We're projecting to use 85,000 of fund balance, and next year 35. But in reality, a fee for service shouldn't have a fund balance. But I think that, and so I've gone back 10 years to see what the fund balance has been. So about in 2015, I think it was about 100,000, and then it went up to just after COVID, almost up to 260,000. The management board wants to keep some fund balance. But they're gonna need to figure out what is the right amount, because unlike the general fund, if there's an ice storm, we just don't do service. We're not gonna have to dip into reserves like a general fund would to do ice storm damage. So we want to get to a point where current year assessment is the majority of the budget, and we will need to, because as you pointed out, you can't keep going back to the fund balance. I think what the management board will need to come up with, what is that safety net they want in case there's some big project they decide, like say, the Pennsylvania Park Master Plan gets adopted, and in that is a permanent performance space. Well, that's certainly something that the management board would like to use, so that's a big ticket item that we would maybe want a big chunk of money to go towards. So I don't know if that answered your question, but we're trying to get to the point of the assessment covering the entire year's budget. Currently, if you looked at what we're collecting now, to get to what the expenditures are, we would have to increase, instead of 2.6%, the annual levy, we would have to increase the levy 43%.
Have you considered reduction of expenses?
We are doing that as well. But downtown wants services, they want events, they want marketing. So it's trying to balance what the demands are versus what is the revenue.
Do the assessments continue to grow the fund balance?
Is considered,
Do the assessments continue to grow the fund balance?
if we do not fully expend the budget. So the fund balance is basically our assessment revenues and program revenues, so sponsorships, or when people buy calendar ads, that's all program revenue. So those are our two main revenue sources. if we collect that money and don't end up spending it all at the end of the year, what's left goes into fund balance.
Thank you.
Other questions? Mr. Shields?
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Mr. Tweeten. On the budget, the beautification, looks like that was removed. The budget items for flowers, fall decorations, was that cut? Does that going someplace else?
That it is partly to, yes, help this budget, but it's also an expenditure that is really enhancing the public realm. It's not so much a program we're offering, it's not marketing. It's something that's beautifying downtown, much like, well, so it's the corn stalks that are up now, it's the big wreaths, it's the lighting up the tree. So it's enhancing downtown as a center of the community. So based on the discussion at the joint meeting of uses of the parking fund for, obviously we want to improve our parking lots and upgrade those. But also using it for placemaking, such as facade grants currently. That was why I proposed moving it from programs and services and parking.
Yeah, so that the wreaths next year potentially would become from the parking fund. I just, comment, I rely on the management board for these recommendations and the comments from any of the business owners that may come.
Anything else? I go to Ms. Beck for roll then.
Shields,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Murphy.
Yes. Next discussion, mayor and council members. Salaries as recommended by the compensation commission. While it does not require city council's verbal support, approval of this, it is requested by staff that it be approved by council for the 2026 budget.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I have a question.
Please.
So before we concluded and we just voted on the budget, were we also voting for the total resolution here? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because it also, beyond the questions that were asked of Amy, it was also included like 4 different items. Well, that was just all inclusive in one package?
Yeah, that resolution, yes.
Okay, that include all this. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Moore.
Yeah, it's my understanding, based on the statute, that no motion is required here unless we wish to oppose the recommendation of the independent commission. The entire purpose of the independent commission is to make these decisions separate from city council unless we want to oppose it.
I have a question about that too.
Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. Because I assumed it was, we were doing it because there was an additional change in budgetary expenses for the next year. Yeah,
No, it's correct. You don't have to do anything. I think some of this is language that was carried forward from previous compensation commission memos, so we can certainly update that memo, but Councilmember DeMore is correct. There's no action that is required by council unless you want to reject.
and then I do have another question, which is about language here, if I may, Mayor.
Please.
So can you tell me from, okay, so it says, for the 2027, it says using the same 3% compounding formula. Does that mean the same 3% compounding formula was used to get from the 2025 salaries to the 2026?
You mean 4 to 5 or 5 to 6?
Yeah,
Yes, that is correct.
okay, so 3% is used annually in this formula.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All set on that one? Going to the last item, first reading of proposed ordinance amending Article 12 and Article 20 of the zoning ordinance. I turn it over to City Manager Horn.
Thank you, Mayor. So this has gone through a couple different bodies, starting with the Zoning Board of Appeals. So this language is kind of looking back to the property on Rosen Division that had an existing variance that was longer than, that went on longer than the 12 months. We had some conflict with our own documents with our zoning compliance permit and what that application said. And so we had a desire, as I think ZBA did, as well as Planning Commission, to really try to do some housekeeping to clean this up a little bit. And so our city attorney was involved, helped, assisted the ZBA to craft some language that talked about the length of a variance. And we have some pretty seasoned working professionals in both ZBA and Planning Commission that had some concerns about trying to get a project done in a 12-month sequence, which is why there's language in here for an 18-month timeframe. So what's in front of you is the latest version. This was going back and forth today with the city attorney. Lisa Denoyer, our zoning administrator, is here with us as well, and certainly has a lot of great background on this, and is available for your questions and input as well. But the handout that's in front of you tonight, the bolded language, is what was changed from our city attorney today to try to really clarify the differences between section 1721 and section 2007. And so that bolded language again was added today and is handed out in front of you. This is just a first reading. Our city attorney did chime in that she did not believe it necessary to go back to the Planning Commission and kind of reset the public hearing. That's her guidance, essentially. So again, Lisa and I are happy to entertain questions and feedback. Again, this is first reading, and answer any sort of concerns or questions you may have at this time.
Mr. Moore.
I would just say that the latest iteration is far superior to the preceding one, because between section 2007 and section 1721, in the previous version, it was really confusing and unclear. And I think the new language makes it very clear how things will operate under these sections. So that's it.
Are you making a motion?
It's a first
No,
reading.
it's just a first reading.
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Shields?
I also think this is cleaner and more clear. Just to clarify, the 18th month recommendation, that could be accounted for in this new version. The process, so it's, yeah, so if the variance comes
Right.
afterwards, so that thus would be a longer period that's
Mhm.
allowed.
Yep.
Thank you.
And again, the reasoning for that, based on the architects, the working architects that we had at the Planning Commission, their concern was sometimes these projects just take a while to kind of put together. And so having that extra time they thought was important. That was, again, their feedback.
Ms. Walker?
Thank you, Mayor. I just really want to give a shout out and a thanks. I'm so grateful. Well, I'm grateful to us that we hired this attorney firm. Our civil counsel is top notch. And I think that they are like systematically going through all of our biggest issues and just like slaying it. So I really appreciate the work that they're doing, and it's reflected in these kind of documents and like attention to detail. So thank you to them. Thank you to us.
No, I appreciate you saying that because I concur wholeheartedly. It's been kind of a breath of fresh air when Sarah and I or other staff call, they're very responsive. And just on top of things. So I appreciate that feedback.
Okay,
Lisa, did you have anything you wanted to highlight, or spell out or any? Okay.
No.
Okay.
And I also said this is a much clearer version.
Yeah. Thank you. Yep, thank you.
brings it up. Last is city council comment. I'll start with Ms. Walker, Ward 4.
Thank you, Mayor. About to take a note. Forgot what I was gonna say. So Emmett County Planning Commission and Emmett County is doing their master plan review, and similar to the one that the city of Petoskey hosted when we organized the Livable Petoskey Master Plan. They're gonna have their public forum and participation this Saturday at North Central Michigan College from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. And so this is an opportunity for us to get our regional dream of dreams out on the table of what we'd like to see, and especially being advocates and knowing what to be advocates for in terms of projects here in the city of Petoskey and how that is of economic and social and environmental benefit for all of Emmett County as the what they call it, like the hub, the economic hub of Emmett County and being the county seat. I think we have a lot to contribute to that master planning process. So that's all I want to share.
Ward 2, Mr. Shield.
Thanks, Mayor. I just have a respectful critique. I took the community quality or character survey yesterday. And I think the survey is narrowly framed and doesn't fully reflect the broader considerations and potential consequences of zoning. Quality of life and character of our shared space is far more than attractiveness or what people, in quote, feel. It doesn't address the overall health and sustainability of the community or how we ensure our neighborhoods remain viable, inclusive, and accessible for people of all incomes. It is one more frustration I have of this zoning review process not happening out in front of this legislative body and thus the public. The city needs more housing options. One statistic, 2 out of 3 American households are made up of just 1 or 2 people, yet 88% of new homes have 3 or more bedrooms. There's a mismatch between what's needed and what's being built, and local governments hold the key to that change. Petoskey needs to remove barriers to gentle density. We need to allow backyard cottages, triplexes, and quadplexes. I think we should reevaluate the regulations on our ADU and spare bedrooms or garages. We need to reduce or eliminate minimum lot sizes, unnecessary setbacks, parking minimums, lot coverage maximums, and outdated density restrictions. We need to allow the next increment of growth citywide. Another option is that for the city to consider is supporting homeowners with smart financing. There are innovative low-interest loans pioneered out of city councils around the country for homeowners to create new housing units, a micro TIF, if you will, something for us to look into. Thank you.
Eric?
Ward 1, Ms. Demore.
I've shared with everybody this book, Practical Sustainability by Dan Boersma, that I got when I was down at the Michigan Municipal League convention. I mentioned this because when I had a conversation with Mr. Boersma, he let me know that our colleague at the end of the table received a statewide award this year for excellence in recycling as the outstanding individual from the Michigan Recycling Coalition, stating, Lindsay is fierce, outspoken, and passionate for all things recycling. As Emmett County's markets manager, she's helped transform the Northern Michigan County into a beacon of recycling achievement and a model that many communities strive to follow. She also played a crucial role establishing and growing Emmett County's organics management operations, as we all know, because whenever we eat, particularly for food scraps recycling, it is an outspoken advocate for composting. Congratulations, Lindsay.
Thank you. You're so kind. Thanks, Guy. I do it because I live right here. Look at that. Right here. Thank you so much.
And now, following that, I just wanted to say, I'm hopeful that we're going to revisit our city council policies and procedures, which are pretty well ancient. I don't know if that's a fair characterization or
That's
not.
fair.
But specifically, I'm concerned about continuing to ask constituents to give their addresses on the record. Unfortunately, I think we live in a time when that isn't the most optimal thing to have happening. And that's a component of those policies and procedures. So I would just put it out there as an ask that we take a look at that. I'm sure Laura would be able to help us. So thank you.
Had the opportunity with the city manager to visit Maple Block last week. Had a tour. They are looking at mid-November where first apartments will be open. They'll be doing half a buildings at a time, moving forward till next spring. I think the same goes, I believe, for the lofts as well. So look forward to that. The Arts Commission today adopted a 5-year plan, which will be on the city website for you to access and look at. Also attended the Washington Park picnic. Lindsay was there with recycling again. And wasn't really heavily attended. I think what we need to do at these 4 picnics, I think we need to do maybe what Lockwood does, and that's hit almost everybody in the ward and make it more of not a neighborhood picnic, but a ward picnic, so to speak. And I think maybe that would entice more people to come. So I have the help of Charlie Wilmot. We passed out 500 flyers for Ward 2. So I think that's what I would support, propose that you guys look at if we're continuing with these neighborhood ward picnics. Let's get it out to everybody. And I think it would behoove us, with what the Parks and Rec in the summertime being as busy as they are, perhaps you guys are working with Tina, we could get these yaks, but the problem is, of course, they're not in the summer operations of school. But I think somehow maybe you guys could get, like I did with Lockwood, get friends and neighbors in the neighborhood to help with the flyers and help kind of promote the picnic more. That's my only suggestion. I got to say thanks to staff. You made a comment about the city attorney, and I think it also comes right back down to how is our staff relating to utilizing the city attorney, because that's really the first line of where the contact really comes is that piece of it. So I want to say thank you to staff for working closely with our city attorney as well. No further business coming for this council. I call this meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Derek. That was really nice. I really liked that.
What about this
It was
book?
like right
Who
from the
gave us
zoning
this
toolkit.
book?